Some people can walk away from you, but that doesn't mean they've erased you, because letting go of your hand doesn't always mean letting go of your memory. There's a strange kind of silence that lingers after someone leaves your life. It isn't the quiet you hear in an empty room or the hush of the night. It's the silence inside your heart. When someone lets you go, you might think the story is over. They walk away, they take their belongings, they cut off communication, and from the outside it seems final. But the truth is, their absence makes more noise in the mind than their presence ever did. That silence becomes deafening because it's filled with echoes of every laugh, every word, every little moment that once felt ordinary but now carries the weight of memory. The battle isn't fought out loud. It's fought in the mind, where the past refuses to leave quietly. Memory has a way of clinging to the smallest details, often against your will. A familiar song on the radio, a scent drifting in the air, or even a street you once walked down together can bring everything back in a rush. That's when you realize that letting go of someone physically is a far easier task than convincing your mind to release them. The brain doesn't obey breakups. It doesn't sign contracts with closure. Instead, it replays the highlight reel without asking for your permission, reminding you of both the beauty and the pain. And the more you try to silence those thoughts, the louder they seem to get. This is the silent battle, the tug-of-war between your desire to move forward and your mind's insistence on looking back. The hardest part about this battle is that it's invisible to the world. On the outside, you may look fine. You may smile, work, and carry on with your life as if nothing happened. But inside, your mind becomes a stage where the past keeps performing night after night without intermission. People may tell you to just get over it, as if memory comes with a switch you can flip. But memories are not like photographs you can throw away. They are stitched into the fabric of your being. They live in your senses, your thoughts, even your dreams. The silent battle is the war between what the world expects you to feel and what your heart actually refuses to forget. What makes this struggle even more profound is how it blurs the line between healing and hurting. On some days, the memory of someone can bring comfort, like a warm reminder of what once was. On other days, the same memory can cut deep, reopening wounds you thought had already closed. It's unpredictable. A single thought can either make you smile or break you down. That's the cruelty of memory. It doesn't ask permission to visit, and it doesn't always arrive in kindness. This is why people often mistake letting go for forgetting. You can let go of someone's presence, you can let go of their role in your daily life. But forgetting, that's not something the mind is eager to surrender. The silent battle also reveals something we rarely admit. The mind is loyal, sometimes more loyal than the person who left. Even when someone chooses to release you, your mind keeps holding on to the fragments. It plays the what-ifs and if-onlys. It imagines different endings, alternate timelines, and second chances that never came. In a way, memory becomes both a punishment and a gift. It punishes you because it doesn't let you escape easily, but it's also a gift because it shows that what you shared mattered, that your connection was real enough to leave an imprint. Not every relationship has the power to haunt the mind. Only the ones that meant something do. And so, the silent battle of memory becomes a part of life's hidden lessons. It teaches you that the heart doesn't forget just because someone walks away. It shows you the power of moments, how even the smallest gesture can leave a permanent mark on the soul. It reminds you that love, friendship, or even deep connection isn't erased by distance or silence. It is carried within you, whether you want it or not. That's the truth about letting go. You may lose someone's presence, but you never truly lose the memory. The battle may be quiet, but it's proof that what you lived was real, and that reality doesn't just vanish, it lingers, echoing inside you long after the goodbye. The mind is a keeper of stories, and once it has written a chapter, it rarely erases the ink. When someone exits your life, you may expect the mind to cooperate, to clean the slate, and to let you start fresh. But the mind doesn't work like that. It is wired to hold on, to preserve, to archive everything that once carried meaning. This isn't weakness, it's human nature. The mind clings to unfinished stories, to conversations that ended mid-sentence, and to the countless what could have been moments. It holds on because it is constantly searching for closure, and closure is rarely as neat and tidy as we wish it to be. One of the biggest reasons the mind holds on is because of emotional investment. Every laugh, every tear, every late-night conversation, and every vulnerable moment builds a bond stronger than you realize in the moment. The human brain attaches weight to experiences filled with emotion. It remembers joy more vividly, and it remembers pain more deeply. So when someone once held a place in your heart, your mind doesn't file it away as just another memory. It labels it as significant. That significance becomes a thread woven into your identity, making it nearly impossible to simply cut and throw away. The mind holds on not because it enjoys the pain, but because it refuses to discard something it considers part of who you are. Another reason the mind struggles to let go is the comfort of familiarity. Even when relationships end, the brain craves the patterns they created. That good morning text, that shared joke, that familiar voice. It all becomes part of your daily rhythm. When it disappears, the mind experiences withdrawal, much like losing a habit you've lived with for years. It keeps reaching back, replaying those moments, almost like phantom pain after losing a limb. The body may adapt, but the mind lingers in the spaces that were once filled with their presence. It's not about weakness, it's about the brain's deep resistance to change, especially change that rips away something it once depended on for comfort. The mind also holds on because of unfinished business. Words that were never spoken, apologies never given, and feelings never fully expressed create loops that keep replaying. You find yourself imagining conversations you'll never have, or scenarios where everything ends differently. This is the mind's way of trying to rewrite the ending, to solve a puzzle it doesn't have all the pieces for. The lack of closure fuels the persistence of memory. It's not that the mind refuses to move on. It's that it hasn't been given the chance to fully understand, and the unknown is far harder to release than the known. Beyond that, the mind is deeply connected to identity. Every relationship changes you, shaping your values, your fears, and your hopes. To let go completely would mean erasing a part of your own growth, and the mind resists this. Even when someone leaves, the lessons they taught, the way they made you feel, the ways they helped or hurt you, all remain as part of your evolution. You carry them in your decisions, your boundaries, your dreams. That's why the mind won't let go, because in some way, letting go of them feels like letting go of yourself. And the mind's first instinct is always to protect who you are becoming. Most of all, the mind holds on because love and connection are not meant to be disposable. Human beings are not designed to forget people who mattered. We're built to bond, to attach, to create meaning. And meaning cannot be erased simply because a relationship ended. Even if you never speak again, even if life takes you in completely separate directions, The mind keeps the memory alive, not as a punishment, but as a reminder that you once loved, once cared, once mattered. That's why the mind holds on. It's not a flaw, it's proof of humanity, proof that the soul doesn't measure relationships by how they end, but by how deeply they were lived. Letting go and moving on are often spoken about as if they're the same thing, but they are not. Letting go is the act. You release the person, you stop calling, you cut off the physical presence. Moving on is the journey. It's the healing that takes place after, the rebuilding of your heart, and the rediscovery of yourself. Letting go is something you can do in a single moment, but moving on takes days, months, sometimes even years. Many people confuse the two, and that's why they feel frustrated when they've let go of someone, but still can't stop thinking about them. The truth is, you can let go without moving on, and that's where the real struggle begins. Letting go is often a decision. You reach a point where you know things cannot continue as they are. Maybe the relationship was toxic. Maybe life pulled you in different directions. Or maybe love alone wasn't enough to sustain what you had. So you decide to release them. You stop fighting to hold onto something that isn't working. In that moment, letting go feels like freedom. You may even feel powerful, as though you've taken back control of your life. But that decision, no matter how strong it feels, doesn't erase the emotions. You can walk away from someone physically, but your heart doesn't follow instructions that quickly. Moving on, however, is not a decision. It's a process. It's the quiet mornings when you wake up and realize they're not the first thought in your head anymore. It's the nights when the memory still creeps in, but it doesn't sting as sharply as before. Moving on is learning to live again without rehearsing the past in your mind. It's replacing old routines with new ones, rebuilding your identity without their shadow hanging over it. Unlike letting go, moving on doesn't happen in a single instant. It's a slow transformation, and sometimes it's so gradual that you don't even notice it's happening until one day you do. The danger comes when people believe that letting go means they should already be over it. They think, I let them go, so why am I still hurting? Why do I still miss them? Why do I still remember everything? But that's where the difference lies. Letting go is external. You cut the tie. Moving on is internal. You untangle the knots left behind. That's why so many people feel like they're stuck. They've taken the step of letting go, but they haven't yet given themselves the time, patience, or grace to truly move on. Healing requires both, not just one. There's also a deeper truth. You can let go of someone and still love them. You can release them from your life but still carry them in your heart. That's where moving on becomes the real challenge. It isn't about pretending you never cared. It's about accepting that love doesn't always guarantee a future together. Moving on requires you to make peace with the fact that some people are meant to stay only in your past, no matter how deeply they shaped you. That's where strength is tested, not in letting go, but in moving forward without allowing the past to control your present. And perhaps the most powerful part of this truth is that moving on isn't about forgetting. It's about transforming. The love, the lessons, the laughter, and even the pain, they all become part of who you are. Moving on doesn't erase them, it reshapes them. The memories lose their sting, the longing loses its grip, and eventually, the past no longer feels like an open wound. It feels like a scar, a reminder of what you survived and how you grew. Letting go is the door you close. Moving on is the path you walk after closing it. And it's that path that ultimately leads you to freedom. When someone lets you go, it can look like freedom from the outside. They walk away, they smile in public, they post pictures that seem carefree. To the world, it appears as though they've broken free from the weight of what you shared, but appearances are deceiving. What looks like freedom on the surface can often be a disguise for longing, for emptiness, for a silence they cannot admit. True freedom doesn't come from walking away. It comes from healing, and without that healing, the freedom people display is often just an illusion. This illusion works like a mask. He may laugh louder, dress sharper, and keep himself busy, but inside he may still be carrying the weight of memories he cannot shake. The nights are the true test. When the world is quiet, when the distractions fade, when the noise of the day no longer shields him, those are the hours when the truth surfaces. And the truth is that freedom cannot coexist with chains of memory. He may have left, but his mind may still walk the halls of your presence, replaying moments he wishes he could relive or undo. The illusion fools the world, but it rarely fools the heart. The illusion of freedom also serves as self-protection. Sometimes, people pretend to be free because admitting they are still tied to you feels like weakness. They tell themselves they've moved on, but every familiar scent, every echo of your voice, proves otherwise. They bury their thoughts under layers of pride and distraction, convincing themselves that ignoring the pain will make it disappear. But pain ignored doesn't vanish, it waits. It waits in the quiet moments, it waits in the dreams, and it waits in the future when life slows down long enough for the heart to catch up. That's when the illusion of freedom begins to crack. What makes this illusion so dangerous is that it can mislead both sides. You may see him living his life, and you may assume he's forgotten you, that you were just a chapter he closed without a second thought. But the truth is far more complex. Sometimes the ones who appear the strongest are the ones who struggle the most in silence. The illusion of freedom is not a reflection of indifference. It is often a reflection of pain too deep to confront openly. He may have let you go, but that doesn't mean you left his mind. He carries you still, hidden beneath the image of someone who has moved on. And yet, the illusion of freedom is also part of the process. Pretending to be free is sometimes the only way people survive the weight of separation. It's a coping mechanism, a way of buying time until the heart learns to accept what the mind already knows, that you are gone. In this sense, the illusion is both a lie and a bridge. It may not be real, but it allows him to keep walking forward, step by step, until one day the illusion transforms into truth. Until one day he really does find freedom, not because he pretended, but because he healed. So the next time you see someone who let you go living as though they've erased you, don't be deceived by the surface. Freedom is not measured by appearances, it's measured by peace. The absence of someone doesn't equal the absence of memory, and pretending doesn't equal healing. The illusion of freedom may convince the world, but it cannot erase the truth inside. And the truth is, sometimes the person who let you go is the very one who cannot escape the shadow of what you meant to them. It's easy to believe that once someone lets you go, you no longer matter to them. The silence, the absence, the distance, it all feels like proof that you've been erased, but the truth is far more powerful. You still matter because impact doesn't vanish with separation. You still matter because the human heart does not simply delete what once shaped it. When you've been part of someone's journey, you leave footprints that cannot be covered, no matter how far apart life takes you. And those footprints are the quiet reminder that you still hold a place in their story. Why do you still matter? Because presence leaves a mark. Every smile you shared, every conversation that stretched into the night, every vulnerable moment you allowed them to see, it all became part of their memory bank. You mattered in those moments, and you continue to matter because those experiences are not undone by absence. They cannot erase the way you made them feel when you encouraged them, when you believed in them, or even when you challenged them. Feelings don't vanish like smoke. They linger like fingerprints on glass, subtle but undeniable. You also still matter because of the lessons you gave without even realizing it. Maybe you taught them patience. Maybe you taught them how to love better. Maybe you even taught them what they should never accept again. Lessons are powerful because they shape choices. Every time they make a decision influenced by what they learned from you, they carry you with them. And that's why you matter. You are part of the wisdom they now use to navigate their life. Impact is not always about permanence in presence. Sometimes it's about permanence in influence. Even in moments of pain, you still matter. Sometimes the hurt you caused, or the hurt they caused you, becomes a mirror they can't ignore. They may try to escape it, but the memory of how things ended remains in the background, shaping how they move forward. Pain doesn't mean you don't matter. It means you mattered enough to leave a wound. And wounds, though painful, eventually heal into scars. Scars are proof that something significant once existed, that a connection once had weight. To matter is not only to be remembered in love, but also to be remembered in lessons born out of struggle. You matter because memory attaches itself to meaning. Think about it. We don't remember every person we meet, every passerby, every face in the crowd. We remember those who touched us deeply, those who left us different than before we met them. If you are still in his mind, even after he let you go, it's because you weren't just anyone. You were someone who left an imprint strong enough to resist the erosion of time. That imprint is the proof of your importance. It's the evidence that you mattered, that you still matter, and that you always will in some form. And here's the most profound truth. You still matter because love doesn't vanish. It transforms. Even if he doesn't say it, even if he never admits it, even if he builds a new life without you, the love you shared reshaped who he is. It may no longer be spoken, it may no longer guide his actions, but it lives quietly in his heart as part of his history. You matter not because you're still by his side, but because you're still inside his memory, still part of his growth, still written into his story. And no matter what happens, nothing can erase the fact that you mattered once, and therefore you will always matter. The hidden truth of love and memory is that they are inseparable. Love may fade in its intensity, relationships may dissolve, and people may drift apart, but memory carries love like a vessel. Even when someone is no longer part of your present, the love you shared lives on in the corners of your mind. It may not always appear as longing. It may not even appear as pain, but it exists as a quiet reminder of what once was. Love doesn't simply vanish into nothingness. It transforms, evolving into a memory that shapes the way you see the world and the way you love again. One of the most overlooked truths is that love doesn't have to survive in the present to remain real. Too often we dismiss past connections, telling ourselves if it didn't last, it wasn't love. But memory tells a different story. If you remember the way your heart raced at the sound of their voice, if you remember the way their presence made ordinary days feel extraordinary, then that love was real. It may not have endured forever, but it existed, and existence is enough to leave an imprint. The memory becomes the keeper of that truth. It validates what was, even if it no longer is. Memory also serves as a teacher of love. Even if the relationship ended in heartbreak, even if it collapsed under the weight of flaws and mistakes, the memory holds the lesson. It shows you what you valued, what you needed, what you should protect, and what you should avoid in the future. Love and memory work together here. The love was the experience, and the memory is the wisdom you carry forward. And that wisdom means the relationship wasn't wasted. It was part of your evolution. That is the hidden truth. Even endings enrich you when love has passed through your life. But perhaps the most haunting part of this truth is that memory doesn't always obey reason. You can tell yourself you're over someone, you can rebuild your life, you can even love someone new, and yet, a part of you will still carry the echoes of that old connection. That doesn't mean you're weak, and it doesn't mean you haven't moved on. It simply means that love leaves traces that time cannot wash away. The hidden truth is that memory immortalizes love, not because you still need it, but because you once lived it. To erase it would be to deny part of your own humanity. Another hidden truth is that memory often amplifies love in ways reality never did. Time has a way of softening the sharp edges and polishing the moments until only the highlights remain. Sometimes you don't remember the arguments or the silences. You remember the laughter, the touches, the light. That's why memories can feel stronger than the actual relationship ever was. The mind isn't lying, it's cherishing. It's holding on to the parts that made life brighter, the parts worth carrying into the future. And this selective remembering is itself a form of love, even if it only exists in reflection. At the end of it all, the hidden truth of love and memory is this: people may leave, relationships may end, but the heart never fully lets go of what it once cherished. Love becomes memory, and memory becomes part of who you are. It doesn't mean you're stuck. It doesn't mean you're broken. It means you are human. You carry with you the echoes of everyone who once mattered, and those echoes shape the rhythm of your life. Love may not always last forever in practice, but it lasts forever in memory, and that is how it continues to live, quietly, invisibly, eternally. So here's the truth. When someone lets you go, it doesn't mean you disappear from their heart, and it doesn't mean you stop mattering. Letting go is an action, moving on is a journey, and freedom is not always what it seems. You may be absent from their arms, but you're still present in their mind, in their choices, in their quiet moments when the world isn't watching. Because real love, real connection, doesn't vanish, it transforms. It becomes memory, and memory, once planted, never truly leaves. So don't ever mistake silence for forgetfulness. Don't ever believe absence means erasure. If you were once loved deeply, you will always live in their story. And maybe that's the most powerful truth of all, that even after goodbye, you are not forgotten. You are remembered, you are carried, and in some way you are eternal. Asterisk.